Hi, welcome Anthony and Irvine. And happy birthday to Anthony.
Thank
you
you.
for coming today on your birthday. Would you mind introducing yourselves a little bit and just a brief explanation as to how you're related to AB540, the Multicultural Center, the D.R.E.A.M Resource Center?
Sure. So my name is Anthony Garcia. I recently graduated with a master's in counseling from the program at CSUN with an emphasis in college counseling and student services. I started working at the D.R.E.A.M Resource Center here at Glendale earlier this year when the spring semester started. And originally, I was going to do a semester and kind of help the D.R.E.A.M Resource Center gain some exposure, have events, flyers, classroom presentations to really raise awareness on issues surrounding AB540 students and undocumented students. And I decided to stay on board for the second semester.
Right.
Hi, my name is Irvine Rendon, and I got involved with the DRC from Voices. So Voices is a student in ILI club that helps AB540 students. And I met the president of Voices, and he worked at the DRC. So I started going and talking to him more. And then he's transferring, so there was an opening to work at the DRC, and I interviewed and I got the job.
Nice, awesome, thank you. So how important would you say right now is it to expose these topics or expose the need for this conversation and like you said, like that's what you're passionate about, and like that's why you are here at GCC.
Yeah. So, I think given the political climate that seems to be very hostile to people of color, it's very important to be able to give people a voice that may necessarily feel that they don't have a voice and be in a position where you can speak. I think it's very important. So people that have an opportunity to generate awareness should do it, and that's kind of I feel like it's my duty. Coming back to like a community college setting and being able to advocate for AB540 students and undocumented students.
So you feel like a sense of responsibility?
Exactly.
Why is that? How did that begin, or like where did that manifest?
To be honest with you, so my parents came here to the United States from Mexico. So I'm a son of immigrant parents, and the hardships that they face when they came to this country, to me, I try to put myself in people's shoes, and I'm like, my parents faced a lot of hardships when they came to the U.S. And if I can somehow advocate for people to have a better quality of life, and be in a position to do that, like I want to be that person.
Do you have like a vision or like a set goal of like what that would mean within like 5 years or 10 years, like as you continue working and exposing the story for a lot of immigrants?
Um, it's a very good question. In terms of like long term 5 years, I would like uh, for students to be supported on campus, for other community colleges throughout the state of California to have a D.R.E.A.M resource center or a space where they feel comfortable. So they know that they're supported, that their faculty and staff supports them, and that we're invested in their education. So the goal would be to generate enough exposure for them to have a safe place on campus.
Right.
Yeah.
Irving, as a student that's actually AB540, could you share a little bit about like what services, like do you feel supported? Do you think that there's more like that the school could do for students on campus?
Yeah. So like when I barely got to GC, like I wasn't like aware of the DRC. So I think after I became aware of the DRC, it becomes a lot easier because you feel that you have a place where you could go if you need help, get assisted, and get the right information. So I think GC needs to expose the DRC a lot more because there's a lot of students that I meet and they're like, oh, I didn't even know we had a DRC. Like I didn't know we had these services, and it's like we have them, but we're just not exposing them to the other students that are reach my 40 as well.
Do you feel like students are reluctant to ask questions because they are undocumented? They feel like anxiety?
Yeah, I think they're scared because like not everyone knows about your 540, so they meet a counselor that doesn't know, and then they're like, oh, maybe there isn't help here,
Right.
and then I think they're just scared because of the political climate.
Exactly. Have you spoken to students yourself, asking them what they thought about like what it means to expose that truth on campus?
Yeah, I talked to a few, and they say that they're very thankful that they learn about the DRC because they spent like 1 or 2 years here, and they've been struggling, and they like barely found out about the DRC.
What kind of struggles do students face?
Like
as an AB540 student?
some students didn't know that even if they don't have DACA, they could still apply for the CCPG, or like if they didn't have DACA, they could still do the Dream Act,
Okay.
so stuff like that.
So what does that mean? Like, can you break down what AB540 means, or just the origins of it, and if you could please?
Yeah, so AB540 is an assembly bill passed in 2001,
Hmm.
and it meant that any person who graduated from California high school and completed at least 3 years of high school would get in-state tuition instead of paying like the 246 of out of state.
Mhm.
And that's what AB540
So it really
is.
protects students from,
Yeah.
being college students and making sure that's a possibility for them.
Yeah, it makes it more affordable.
Do you think that's been compromised? Like, how much has that been challenged within the last 2 years in the Trump administration?
Well, the AB 540 bill is a bill in California. So they've actually extended the bill. So they've created additional bills to make it more accessible for students to qualify for in-state tuition, essentially making it easier for them to go to college. So there's the AB 540 bill that was passed in 2001, and then there was an extension to that bill that is known as the AB 2000 bill that not only that looked at students within their high school frame, but also looked at elementary and middle school. So the original bill, for example, students had to complete 3 years of high school along with their GED or high school diploma.
Okay.
So AB 2000 made it a lot easier.
For younger students.
Yeah, exactly. So they made it a lot easier in a way that those 3 years could be completed either in elementary school, middle school, and high school,
That's
making
very
it a lot
important.
easier. Yes.
Yeah. So what was it originally? What would it have meant for like younger, undocumented kids or students that are unaware of these legislations? Like, what would it mean for them if they weren't protected under AB 540?
So essentially, if there wasn't an AB 540, it would be a lot more expensive to go to school, making it almost impossible for them to be able to go to school and get educated and get a degree. Because the cost would be an out of state cost,
Okay.
which is typically 4 to 5 times as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here in the D.R.C., are there ways of funding or like providing scholarships for students that are AB 540?
So there are a couple of scholarships here at Glendale. The AB 540 committee, which consists of faculty and staff, give out scholarships every semester. And recently, at the Dream Resource Center, Irvine and the other student workers, we had a fundraiser to create our own scholarship at the Dream Resource Center, and we were able to generate $500 profit to create a scholarship for undocumented students.
Would you say that's a demand or a need right now that would help students greatly if we did more fundraising and more exposure and talked about this to students? Maybe there'd be more opportunities to support.
Yeah, definitely. See, one of the major things that I've encountered when I speak to AB 540 students or undocumented students is that they think that there's no financial aid for them.
Okay.
So a lot of the students we actually need to catch in high school because they decide not to go to college when they're in high school because they think that there is no financial aid. So AB 540 students or undocumented students, they don't qualify for federal financial aid, but there is state financial aid known as the California DREAM Act. So in the state of California, we're fortunate enough to have funding for undocumented students.
Was that the case for you? Were you out of high school aware of this program?
Out of high school, I didn't know about AB 540, but I didn't know. Like, I thought it was like a status given to me automatically. But if that's not the case, you have to like kind of apply to it, and then GC would make sure that if you are AB 540 or not, and then give you that status.
Okay. So it was an application process you had to apply.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So when I came here, like I didn't know, like the counselor didn't tell me like, oh, are you AB 540 or anything. So he sent me to a student worker, and that student worker, he just started talking to me about AB 540, and then I was like, oh, that applies to me, and then he's like, oh, that's great, and then he helped me through that process.
So it's really just word of mouth, really just connecting with students on campus that are personal experience, similar process.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel like it helped relieve a lot of the anxiety and fear that you felt coming into GCC as a college student?
Yeah, because before I got my classes, and then like I owed like $1,000 for the classes, and I didn't know like why. I thought it was just like, oh, everybody pays that,
Right.
but it was because I hadn't had the AB 540 status. So when I got it, it went back down to like 300.
Nice. Yeah, I imagine there might be a lot of students on campus right now that probably think the same thing,
Yeah.
that that's just normal, that that's a typical amount that they should be paying. So where can we find the DRC if students need that resource?
So the DRC is inside the Multicultural Engagement Center, which is in SM 267. So we're housed inside. So we're a little office inside the Multicultural Center.
So any student can just walk in and ask to speak to a counselor, or who would they look to talk to?
So they would typically speak to either myself or Irvin or the other student worker who's there. Her name is Janet. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So Irvin, as a first time college student, what was the process like connecting with Voices? Because that was a community for you, right? What kind of resources do they offer on campus?
So Voices has their own scholarship that they give out at the end of each semester for any AB540 member. And you only need to go to 3 events that Voices hosts,
Mhm.
and that's pretty easy. It's like a burrito sale or any other fundraiser or any political event that counts as an event. You only have to do 3 of those to get a scholarship.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, that would be an awesome thing to do, is to collaborate with Voices and really like push efforts to make that scholarship and funding more available for students. Um, would you say that there are misconceptions and stereotypes currently that people have about undocumented immigrants? What ideas do you think people have about that?
I think a lot of people think that immigrants or documented students are Hispanic only, and it's not true. Like, there's a lot of people who think they're only undocumented students are Hispanic,
Mhm.
but there's a lot who are Asian or Armenian, but they don't really come out and ask for resources.
Mhm.
So I think that's what the DRC is trying to do right now. We're trying to talk to those students who are too afraid to come to DRC, and we're trying to reach them.
How are you doing that? What are some ways that you were able to connect or like speak with students on campus?
So we have a couple of ways. We have a contact list of all of the AB540 students on campus, and we send out email blasts to them. So we every week we'll have like events or information based on scholarships that we send out to them, and we're always inviting them to come to the Dream Resource Center in case they want to fill out a scholarship or if they have any questions in terms of resources that are offered here on campus. And then whenever we get any opportunity to do like a classroom presentation, or for example, during the welcome day in the summer, they asked us if we would present. So anytime there's an opportunity for us to like go out and speak to students and present, we always jump at that opportunity to generate more exposure for us.
Are there any other like experiences that you want to share, like as an undocumented immigrant? Like, what was it like when you first came here as a student, and also just as an undocumented individual in the U.S.?
Also, I really don't remember much because I came when I was 2 years old.
Right.
So like I grew up in the United States. Like I don't like Mexico is not really my home. It's the United States. So I don't know anything but the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up, I didn't really know that I was undocumented. I just thought that I didn't think about it until I got to college. That's when I started being aware more about my status and the struggles that I had to face.
And that's a reality for a lot of individuals that came here as kids. Like, what can they do? What resources do they have? Like, they didn't know. So, are there any policies being pushed right now in the Trump administration to get rid of DACA, or to get rid of AB540? Is that what's going on?
So currently with the Trump administration, they recently rescinded the program. And right now it's going through the courts to figure out if it's unlawful, unconstitutional to end the DACA program. The common consensus is that it's going to reach the Supreme Court, and they'll go ahead and they'll finally make the decision whether to keep DACA or to end the DACA program. And that's a major problem because there's a lot of students that come to the Dream Resource Center and say like, would I still be able to apply for DACA? And unfortunately, the way it currently is, only people that benefited from DACA are able to renew. So they're no longer accepting any new applications.
Right. Okay.
So that's a major problem because students are coming in and asking can they apply, and unfortunately we have to let them know that the way it is with the current law that they can't apply.
So right now you're saying it's being questioned or it's not official yet.
Yeah, so last year, the Trump administration decided to end the program, and the state of California, along with other states, sued the Trump administration, saying that it was unconstitutional.
Okay.
And it's going through the courts, and the Supreme Court will hopefully eventually make the ruling on whether it's unconstitutional or not.
How can students be allies or activists to support DACA students? Like, is there a way of writing letters to congressmen and women? Like, what can students do to be more supportive in this process?
Yeah, so there's two ways that I would say. One of them is we're working on creating an undocumented ally workshop here on campus, which basically raises awareness on issues for AB540 students and how to best support them. We're in the works at the D.R.E.A.M Resource Center to create a workshop for faculty, staff, and students to become allies to undocumented students. But also, like you mentioned before, is writing to your senators, writing to the elected officials, and letting them know that this is something important to our community. And not just the communities here in California, but this is nationwide, that it's an important issue, and for them to look at that issue.
And something I also want to mention that I feel passionate about is voting, because what I've thought about is the reality that a lot of undocumented students don't have the luxury to vote. So really they're at the expense of people who actually go in and push for certain legislation. So I think that's why it's also very important for just students in general to just hit, like be able to be educated, be aware, like what are the laws being pushed for, who are the candidates up for election, how involved can they be, to realize that their vote affects undocumented individuals. So I think that's also very important to advocate for.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there any other experiences or anything you want to share today that relate to AB540 or how to support students? Concerns?
I think that it just needs to be AB540 needs to be more addressed. People need to know about it more, so there's no misconceptions about it. And let the students who are AB540 know that there's help and that there's someone here for them, and that us at the D.R.E.A.M are here to help.
All right, well, thank you so much, both of you, for coming here and answering all my questions. And hopefully there's going to be progress made, and we'll talk more about this to students. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us.